name of Jonathan Raymond. Ubhale incwadi ititle yayo ithi Holiness, Essence, Form and Shape. Ititle yencwadi is Holiness, Essence, Form and Shape. Kule ncwadi yakhe ke, it's quite a big book. There is a quote that I like from him, and he too got it somewhere else. And it goes like this. If God is to engage people in the redemptive, reconciling, and restoration work of the kingdom through lives of holiness from generation to generation, his people must pursue the essence of holiness within the forms that are appropriate to time, place, and culture. Xa uNkulunkulu, xa uThixo efuna ukuba abantu bakhe bangene emsebenzini wokukhulula abantu okanye woxolelaniso okanye umsebenzi wokubuyisela abantu kubumkani bamaZulu ngempilo zobungcwele ukusuka kwi-generation to generation, abo bantu akumele abasebenzise utsho uRaymond kumele kube ngabantu abaleka the essence undoqo, andazi uba sisixhosa right, the essence undoqo wobungcwele within izinto ezakhayo ubungcwele. Andazi uba ngiyavakala na ngexesha nendawo abazifumana bekuyo abantu. Na andazi uba uyamuva ukuba uRaymond kuyile amagama abini abambayo. Uxa abantu befuna uba semsebenzini kaThixo kumele into engamandla abamele bayibambe kakuhle is the essence of holiness, not the form. Now athi ke uJohn Wesley yena athi the people called to holiness by God must be able to distinguish between form and essence, and not find themselves embracing the forms of holiness, having lost the essence of being holy. UJohn Wesley, if abantu abazibiza ngokuthi ke babizelwe ubungcweleni bukaThixo, kumele babe nayo indlela yokohlula form and essence. Bangazibhaqi benenjongeko, I don't know what it's a right way to use, but benendlela okubonakala ingathi bangcwele bengenabo ubungcwele. Iyavakala? Ekumisa nokusixhosa samasiko bed kangaka. Aphinde athi John Wesley, and niphelile ke lengizayithetha ngoku. Aphinde athi John Wesley, I am not afraid that the people called Methodist should ever cease to exist. Either in Europe, he was in England, either in Europe or America. But I am afraid that lest they should only exist as a dead sect, having the form of religion without the power of the religion. Now, John Wesley, andikhathaleli into yokuba uWesley buyatshabalala. If buzawutshabalala ngenxa yokuthi abantu abazibiza ngokuthi bangamawisili baneform yobuKristu, abanabo ubuKristu, bhetere iphele ikawaseWesley. And now, and that's why uhamba nami ukuba into engamandla today is that the church is full of people who have the form, but not the essence. And again, we have decorated the form. You know the form? We have given it frills in a uniform, in a speaker red, in a pin, a blouse, and a shop at the form. It gets even worse. It uyibona iform le ukuthi bayajongeka niyajongeka. But uthi John Wesley, it is not about that. It is about what is sitting in your heart. Now, uthi President John Wesley, if uthetha ngobungcwele, uthetha ngento, not into ebonakalayo ngaphandle, into ehleli ngaphakathi, into ephekwayo on a daily basis ngaphakathi. Uthi John Wesley, ubungcwele ububona emntwini eyedwa, uphinde ubungcwele ububona umuntu enabantu. Uthi John Wesley, ungcwele, Ivan, inzima ke le. Uthi John Wesley, ungcwele ungabonwa ngumuntu. Uthi xa ujonga lento kuye, uxa uthi uyayibamba, uzibuza umbuzo before uyibamba ukuba umele ayibambe na umuntu ongcwele lento. Now man, into ezoba manje ku holiness is because uJohn Wesley uyasifundisa ukuba awukwazi ukuhlula uthando nobungcwele. Nina? John Wesley, holiness of life is to be understood in terms of perfect life, or perfect love. If uthanda ngokupheleleyo ungcwele. Now ndive kakuhle. Angithethi ngosino nojalamba. Angithethi ngomusi nokhankiso. Because olo thando luhlukile oluthanda uThixo athetha ngalo. Nihamba na? Uthi John Wesley, xa uthetha ngothando olupheleleyo, uthi xa ulijonga ngathi nobungcwele, uthi kumele olo thando lube luthando olukwazi ukuba luthande apho kungathandwa khona. Uthi luthando olubhaqayo ngasekuhlaleni. Udabe wese kuJohn Wesley unokwenzela iheadache amanye amaxesha. Athi ukuthanda indalo njengoba uzithanda wena. Andiva nthixo? Uthi uJohn Wesley uthanda indalo njengoba uzithanda wena. Hamba nami ke ngoku. Uthi uJohn Wesley, idum awuyithengi. Are you with me? I'm just trying to show you when we talk creation, the idea of creation, we always limit it to this, the simple thing like a small insect. You never think of it as part of God's creation. You never think of it as something that God loves in the same way that God loves you. Because we are part of that creation as much as Ipela be part of that creation. Because the food will be complicated for when, because when Ipela can disappear in the whole of creation, the order of creation will be disturbed. Because Ipela was not even created just for the sake of it being created. It has the role it plays in the creation. Angithi mawufunda iBhayibheli awufumani apho kuthiwa wazidala zonke uThixo kodwa wathi amaphele eqaleni. Now, I don't know if you are struggling ngephela as we go further ndazi uba this is awuthini. But again, you must have a good relationship with your environment. Le nto kulahla amaphepha esitratweni. Le nto uthatha inkunkuma esendlini yakho eyadini yakho ibeke endleleni. We are not being holy.
Cleanliness.
This touch. Learn to touch disposable and flush them. You are failing to be holy. Because the water gets recycled for the benefit of all of us. So you are contributing in the thank you. You know. So when John Wesley speaks about holiness or the spreading of scriptural holiness, uthetha nge-transformation of the environment into a better space, the economy, the politics of the world we live in. And ngexesha lakhe ke, he was very strong on the abolishing of slavery and war. So holiness, it's more about new creation. Holiness is about creating a new order. Now uthi John Wesley futhi uma xa ufuna indawo yokukhulisa ubungcwele bakho kumele ube nendawo yokukhonza. Ungabi lumanyano oluza kwi-convention kodwa luye ecaweni. Uthi John Wesley xa ufuna ukukhulisa ubungcwele bakho ungayi ecaweni kanti iklasi awuyihambi. Ngoba ezo ndawo ezimbini zibalulekile ekukhuliseni ubungcwele bakho. And icawa sewesilekizela amaKristu of events. Ube izibhlovu ziyathetha bengizazibuza uba wagqiba lalini ukunxitywa. So for holiness, you need community. You grow on your own, but your growth is fueled by the company of others. And you belong to a bigger group, but the smaller group now is as much important. And memke, holiness is social. You know, kutsho omunye umbhali ke wento ze-theology uthi holiness is social because God is social. And God has created human beings who are social. So holiness is also about relating with others. So we are given the calendar telling the holiness as love. Now I'm telling you, but this very holiness also, it requires of you to connect with other people in the world that you live in. Okay, let's move on. Then he says, if you are really connected to God as a social being, a God who is holy, a God who's social, then there is an expectation for you that in your loving God, you must also be able to love your brother and sister in the way Christ loves them. And in turn, uthanda amaphela. Now siyamuva ngokuthiwa uthande bani? Your brother and sister. Now, in the language of the Bible, when we talk brother and sister, we're not just talking your biological. And we're not only talking labo konza kunye nabo. Now, when you talk brother and sister in the church or in the Christian space, you are talking about loving any person you come across. Now, vile kama ndiseme dice you love any. Angithange ndithi abathile, ndithe wonke umuntu odibana naye mthande. Ngokwenje njalo usondela phi ebungcweleni. If awukwazi ukwenza njalo, then it means you are still miles away from being holy. Now, if that is the case, it's we complicate so that we understand the depth of what it means to be holy. Now, if I'm called to love a neighbor or anybody that I come across, it means this person, odibana naye robotini, esondela ku emdaka, ungavuna ovula ifestile because woyika ukuba uyanuka nonuka. You are called to love that person. Can we go further? Do you see that boy in your street? Othi xa evela wonke umuntu afuna uvala ifestile nengcama ngoba niyazi ukuba uchinya upe and uzawungena zokuba. Uthi uThixo afuna uba ngcwele thanda. Do you want me to go further? Yes. And I'm struggling and get this church out because as Lulanga. azilulanga. And uthi xa yethetha uJohn Wesley uthi olthando calls to you to even love the person who brought pain into your life. And now pain can be defined in so many ways. Can you imagine a young woman of 18 having to be called by her faith to love a man who raped her, and she knows him, and she has always been experiencing that pain, but God says, love this person. And God is not saying to you, love. Are you with me? Yes. Watanda to a point where you busy spitting on him, saying all things to him, but over and above that, when he looked at them, he then said to the Father, they do not know what they are doing. Forgive them. I love. Now, why I'm saying all of this, President, I'm saying all of this because I want to say to the convention, you can never embark on the mission of God when you have not learned to know what it means to love. Because loving in the faith community, it means going to places and people that you not normally want to go to. Are you with me? Are you with me? Yes. So let's move there. I'm sure you do have an idea of what holiness is all about. So the bottom line, holiness is love, and holiness is social, because the God who is holy is a social God who's calling us to be holy because we are social beings. Does that make sense? It does. So that's the bottom line. Now, what is this thing that we talk about every time when we say mission? Because I come to touch on the mission every day. I bet when everybody is an expert of mission, you know. Song. Nani for sure need to tell you mission. El Kamau has been a buzzword in your convention. Now, what comes out is mission. Mission. But what is this thing? What is mission? And in the context of the church, what is mission? Because in the secular context, mission is simply an assignment that you are given to go and do by somebody who has authority sometimes over you, or somebody who actually has been given the right to send other people to do things. That's mission. You know, you go and do what you're asked to do. And then you come back and you give a feedback on what you have done, whether you have achieved it or not, you know. That's mission. But in the context of the church, it is something else. Mission in the context of the church, it is the work, and it is the work that God is busy doing in God's world. Ngumsebenzi uThixo awenzayo emhlabeni okanye elizweni lakhe. Yandiba ndithi umsebenzi that God is doing. So mission is not something new, President. Mission is something that God is busy with as we speak now. God is busy in God's world doing God's work. So akhodawa engama apha ithi thina senza umsebenzi kaThixo siyawuqala. Akonkonze eqalayo. uThixo useqalile. Into eyenziwa sithi eyokuba uThixo uyasimema. Uhamba na? Emsebenzini uThixo abhizi awenzayo uyasimema. So the word invitation is critical in the mission of God. It is God inviting you to come and work with God in what God is busy doing. So Tina, we are participants in the work that God is doing. Give up there was an outreach that we were busy with now with the school. The Bonabanyos is about 34 up next to the Kumbi. They're busy. They're busy. And this is the decision that you as a committee felt, but you need to do it. But have you ever paused for a moment and realized that before you even begin to think about it, God was already busy preparing that work? God was ahead of you. God met that school before you even knock at the door of that school. God actually shaped even the minds of the people before you even speak to them, to receive what God has asked you to give. As you give, God has already prepared the hands that receives. What I'm saying, without the mic, what I'm saying to you is that uThixo ufika singakafiki. uThixo enze singakenzi. Athi uThixo efika enza ulungisa aba abazakwamkela. Bathi aba banikezelayo banikezele kwizandla esezilungisiwe nguThixo. I hope so. So if you agree with my understanding of mission, then I want to declare the mission of God, President, is bigger than the church. Wathi umfundisi usiwa kwi-conference, I think yayilapha eKapa yango-2019, am I correct? Yeah, yayilapha eKapa ephaya kwalanga ecaweni evula inkomfa. Uthi upresiding bishop, God's mission is bigger than the church, but God chooses to use the church as a visible symbol of the transforming presence of God leading to holiness. So upresiding bishop uThixo ugqiba ekutheni mandisebenzise icawe ukuze abantu abafuna ukubona imisebenzi yami bayibone ngani ngecawa. So icawa, it's a visible, what would be the bonakalisa sayinebonakalisayo umsebenzi kaThixo. But let inzulu, and I don't know whether niyayiva but after the mission of God is bigger than the church. Actually, President, what it says is that God actually says indirectly, I can do without the church. Amen. And sometimes we think that we are the people for God's mission, whereas God can use other people without us. And you know, God has got a sense of humor. And for us Christians in particular, God can actually show you that even you Christians, you can depend on other faiths to have your things happening. Yes. It's not a Muslim center. So you're under the roof of the Muslims that you sometimes look down to. But God used them for you to have your convention here. God used them. Before you went to the Muslims, God was in conversation with the Muslims, saying, those Christians are coming. They are desperate. They don't have shelter. They need you. Nihamba na? uThixo uyakwazi uThixo. Abantu abayi-100 million kwelinye ilizwe befuna inkululeko bengaphansi kokucizelelo lwamabhunu amangisi uThixo walanda iponi emfutshane ifaka izipeks eziround ine-mustache. Humble young man. Wathi uThixo hamba khulula abantu bami. Khangaye kumKristu uThixo xa ikhulula iIndia. waya kwiHindu wathi kuye Mahatma Gandhi hamba nabantu bami uyobakhulula wabakhulula uMahatma Gandhi bakhulula uMahatma Gandhi wasigezela uMahatma Gandhi uthi uMahatma Gandhi wagqiba wakhulula wathatha iBhayibheli wafunda ngalomuntu okuthiwa nguYesu uthi xa efunda ngayo uthi ndafunda lokhu ndinquma isithi Thixo ndiyamthanda lo muntu izinto azenzayo zingummangaliso imisebenzi yakhe ingaphaya kokuqonda lo muntu wenza izinto ezingaphaya wathi kodwa abantu abamlandelayo abafani naye So I like this English. It's nice English, and I wish you could take it with you. It is God's mission that has a church, not the church that has a mission of God. Yo. Ambana? Luthumo lukaThixo elibambe icawe ayiyocawe ebamba uthumo lukaThixo. So mission yethu ayiyo yethu until we recognize that God is in place and doing the work. And God, friends, is not limited to us. Now, I've spoken about mission, ma'am. And I want to just go further and say to you, what did Wesley understood to be the mission of the Methodist Church? No, not the Methodist Church, the Wesleyan Church. You know? Why couldn't I say we see? Why Sabako? Why singahlanga nama-Anglicans? Why singahlanga nama-Catholic? Why singayanga eScotland sayojoin ama-Presbyterians? Why singayanga eGermany sayojoin ama-Lutherans? Why the Wesleyan Church? Why the United Methodist Church? Why the Salvation Army? Why the African Methodist Episcopal? Why them? What is so special about them? Itokal Wesley Arti is different is because we are known to be a church that has been called by God to reform the nations. The mission statement here. God called Methodist people to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ for healing and transformation, and it? Can any answer confirmation class? Interestingly, umsebenzi wethu is to spread scriptural holiness over the land. Into yesithathu is to bring good news of Jesus Christ. Into yesine, to care for the vulnerable. To care for those who are at risk. To introduce the gospel to those who have not heard it. Bengixelela madodana alapha kweKapa lethemba ukuba umsebenzi wabo ayikho enye into ngaphandle ukuba bathathe ivangeli bayise kwabo abangayaziyo. Kodwa into abayenzayo bahlala ngaphakathi baziculele bodwa bazishumayeze bodwa. Eyesibini into it's Methodist Young Women's Prayer and Service Union. Nivi? Prayer and Service what? Union. A co-prayer, preaching and service. Nishumailelani ngeyona into yenu. Nishumailelani.
Part of his service, Mama. It's part of his service.
No! Nishumailelani. Ikawa yasewesili clear. Ikasewesili clear. We've got preachers. We've got evangelists. We've got the YMGs. I always say to people that the work of the YMG is to go to the streets and say the big message in 2 minutes and bring them into the church and put them before the preacher. And the preacher unpacks the 2 minutes message to make sense for those people who are sitting in the pews. When the preacher is busy doing that, the Manyano, your mama, the Manyano, your matombazane, they are on their knees saying to Putiko, Tiko, Bangabe the same. And the Wesley Guild, it's expected to go out there and do community development and build comradeship and do what? Consecration and pray with them, not preach to them. And when you see creativity, what they do now, they need to tap into those gifts that God has planted in them so that they can use them in the life of the church. Do you see the connection, man? And these are what? Mission groups. Eh? So the Methodist people are called to care for the violated, for the oppressed, for those who are unjustly treated. So umsebenzi wethu ke losubizelwe. Niyazivela lezo zinto musandithi? Now let's go to why do we have you as the Young Women's Manyano? And that's when I party book of order. Ninazi book of order apha phambi kwethu. If unayo uye ku page 85, paragraph 7.40 to paragraph 7.42. Now, in a nutshell, what it simply says, without you having to read it, it says, mission groups are called to be agents of mission. And they are called to participate in the mission of the church. Oh, sorry, President. Yabona xa upresiding bishop wamawisile emenkomfeni ethetha esithi nanku umgomo endiwupha le conference. Actually, as a commander-in-chief, ngivumele ngisebenzise lo language, as a commander-in-chief, she is giving marching orders to all Methodist people to follow suit. Nina? Uthi ta ethi kuni, umsebenzi wethu is to understand what social holiness is and for the purpose of healing and hope. And she then also say, all we do, when we do that, we must remain in the love of Christ. It means that's the duty and the job we are given to do. Those are marching orders. So when the president, speaks about love that enables us, it must be love that enables us, one, to remain in it, two, to see how we reimagine social holiness and how we sustain hope and healing. Okay. So mission groups, President, are expected by the church to participate in God's mission. Mission groups, participation here also should be a response to what the church is calling on us to do. And you would see it's conference, bishops, units. Everywhere where I speak, whatever I say, I start by explaining what the platform of work that the presiding bishop has given us. And then it's expected by district level, superintendents and committees and mission groups must do the same. Quarterly meeting, leaders meetings and class meetings, it's a pity projection good. If you be Vumile president, I was going to show you this red bus. You see, there's a red bus. There's a red bus. Doesn't it look like the colors of the Methodist Church? You see it? This bus has got red, black, and some white on it. This bus, when I look at it every time, I see it full of Methodist people who have responded to the call of Christ to do what Christ is asking them to do. And they have agreed that this is what they are going to do. And they've given over the bus to be driven by Jesus. Are you with me? And Methodist people are inside the bus. But the bus cannot move without wheels. And the mission groups are the wheels of the bus. Undive? Ndithe i-mission groups intoni zingamavili ebhasi. So without ibhasi amavili awakwazi nohamba. But unfortunately, at the present moment in the Methodist Church, unfortunately in the Methodist Church as we speak today, amavili ngawaqhuba ibhasi. Abantu abakhumshileyo ke banalanto ukuthi ke bathi, do you know this? Can you imagine this? Angithi we know that the dog, what it does, it wags the tail, eh? Angithi mos. Can you ibona inja mos, eh? Can you ibona umsilu? Eh? Kawube nomfanekiso womsila. Wenza inja ngolhlobo. Do you have the picture? Okwangoku imanyano zethu ecaweni asewisile zilawula icawa. Ayiyocawa elawula imanyano. And imanyano bezidalelwe ukuba zenze umsebenzi wecawa. Ndake ndayipresident yamadodana yesithili. So ndingayithetha ke le nto ndingoyiki. When I was president, that realized that man. Yokuthi, I'm sitting in a convention, I'm chairing a convention, that its constituency is not mine. So I don't have authority over these people. These people belong to the superintendents at second level. I can say whatever I like to them, but if the superintendent says no, it doesn't go. But you know what is happening now? It is the president, not general president. They are now dictating to a constituency which is not theirs. Sorry. No. But then how do we link the Young Women's Manyano to the mission work? Where can the Young Women's Manyano be the salt and light of the world through the church? Where is the gap in the MCSA for the Young Women's Manyano? What can we do with the resources we have as the Young Women's Manyano? Now, ma'am, the clear thing, and I'm about to conclude now, I'm just sharing my dream now. The clear thing is that almost 80 to 90% of the people we are sitting with here, some of them are unemployed. Some are single parents. Some, they come from child-headed families. Some are victims of abuse. And abuse at all levels. Physical, emotional, you name it. Some of the people who are sitting here, and sometimes we forget this. And we forget this as a church. That some of the people who are here, they can't even pay subscriptions. Some are sitting with you, he's got only one black skirt and one white blouse. Every time when you go to sleep after the meetings in this convention, that person washes that blouse so that it looks good the following day. And the church has forgotten that. The better, you know, the colony can detect and jango, Mamusel. If you come and say food, what hurts the most is that if you go to them, If you go to the women's Manyano conventions these days, the poor are embarrassed every day. Because our conventions have become fashion shows. People change their attires every day. We used to have, I'm going to say this, we used to have Thursdays in black. You remember? Where the women's Manyano would wear their normal black skirts and wear their golf shirts with the green. You remember? You remember that? You must go to their conventions today. People come with black dresses that can cost 3,000 rands. And I don't know whether you have an idea that we are a church that looks after the vulnerables and the poor, the hungry, those who are poverty stricken. And you forget that when you walk with that 3,000 and there's a mother who had to give away money for bread for her to have something black to wear. And when you gave me this task, ma'am, of linking the young women's Manyano into the mission of the church, I said to myself, whatever I can give as an idea has got to be something that doesn't dig in the pockets of our people. It has to be something that just helps them to use the gifts that they have within themselves to do the work of God. And I want to declare to you, you've got the gifts. Each and every one of us sitting here today, we've got something that God has given us. Your problem is that you're still holding on to it. All you need to do is to let it go and give it to God. I like preaching about this text. I just preached about it recently at George. When Moses was closer to the burning bush, he held a stick that he never knew that this stick can do wonders. Are you with me? This stick, he had it for more than 40 years, using it just to do the normal job of a shepherd. But a moment came when he stood before God, and God said to him, let it go. When Moses released, the moment Moses released the stick, he says the distance between the hand and the ground transformed. And that's when the was given the power that was beyond measure. That it turned into a snake. And from that day, that stick was never the same. 2 years later, that stick went into the river of Jordan. And that stick just pointed at the water, and the water split. That very stick, right in the desert, where there was no water, that stick. Landong. Endaweni engenamanzi. Landong. Kwathiwa kumntu kaThixo, buyela kuyantonga endathi kunike yona. Walathe. Amanzi athatha. And I want to say to you, young women, Manyano, each and every one of you has a stick in his or her hand. And one of the things that the Methodist Church was well known for, ma'am, which I would love and pray that the church goes back to it, and I'm sure you will love what I'm going to say. We were leading in Africa as the Methodist Church in the area of health. The area of health. We were leading as the Methodist. Do you know that the Methodist Church at one stage had almost 5 hospitals? Hospitals. We had helicopters that were transporting doctors all over the connection to go into these hospitals. There was one in Mount Coke, there was another one in Tabanchu, there was one in Bonjeni in KwaZulu-Natal called Bethesda Hospital. There was one in Namibia and one also in Mozambique. All those hospitals are gone. And you know why? It is because we have failed to hold on, and listen to this, this is what I'm offering you, to be a health promoting church. Are you with me? I was looking at the doctor and I thought she would smile, and say, "Yeah, I've got that." A health-promoting church. Babani, let's be honest. Niyagula nila. Let me tell you, I'm standing in front of you. I've got 3 chronics. Dima banje phambi kwenu ngibona ndenza ingqole ngaka ndibila nje, ndiyagula. I take a tablet in the morning, I take 2 in the morning, I take 2 at night. That's 3 in the morning and 2 at night, yeah? Yeah. Ansakwazi nokutya ke, ela dombo lelimandi ansalasi. Umbengo is something that I need to run away from. And I want to tell you, when I woke up to that realization, I was sitting at the doctor's office because I felt very tired and I was a bit dizzy. And the doctor told me when I got my third chronic, the doctor told me, he said, "Who brought you here?" And I said, "I don't know. What do you mean?" I said, "No, who brought you here?" I said, "No, I felt that I needed to come here because I wasn't feeling well." And he said, "No, it can't be you. Something beyond you brought you here because your sugar levels are sitting at 24. When I'm supposed to be 6.2 or 7.2. The highest will be 9, I'm told. And I was told that actually you would have collapsed at any time. And then he says to me, what makes it worse is that you are also having cholesterol. Now with this sugar going this high with cholesterol and hypertension at the same time, you are a time bomb waiting to explode. But can you imagine how many of our mothers and fathers who have died because nobody was there to tell them what they need to do? How many times have they sat in a church service, shumaile, almost 40 minutes, saying all that he can say, and failed just to spend 5 minutes in the sermon and say, actually God requires of us to live healthy lifestyles.
Amen.
And to live a healthy lifestyle, you need to do 1, 2, 3. Can you imagine, Young Women's Manyano, if every month you gather as Young Women's Manyano in a particular society and you have a health awareness Sunday? Can you imagine if we could ask superintendents when they do their preaching plan, then there is a Sunday in which there will be education on healthy living? Does that cost money, man? Not at all. And I want to actually extend it further and say, you don't even need to do anything. We've got departments of government that will make resources available. There are people sitting here in the health services who can stand there and spend 5 minutes and just talk about diabetes, how to deal with it. You know the killer of the 22nd century, let me say so, after COVID, is mental health. Doctors are struggling with people who come to them because of issues of mental health. And we don't have a clue how to deal with it. And one of our weaknesses, young people, is that asifunu thetha. If a weakness yet asikwazi ukuthanda umelwane wethu njengoba sizithanda. Ngoba uthi umuntu wakuthetha sithethe. And ngithi ebuhlungu umlumkele ke lo thethayo. Ngulo nezinto yena kakade. Upholise zakhe ngawe. And all I'm saying, Bobo Sisibam and Batanda Buti, I'm calling on Young Women's Manyano, find your gap. Stop doing awanto yethu yokuthi course collector amavaslapi toothpaste net toothbrushes siyonikezela at home. We are not helping those people. We are actually uyazi ukuthi ayikho nto ehlisa isidima njengokwamkela. Uamkeliswa into ezaxa iphela ngoku ungazi ba uzawuthini. You know, I must tell you this story. There is a girl from Wits University who told the story. Mamela. There is a girl from Wits University who told the story of how she became a prostitute. And she says, the church came. The church would come every second month and give us things like toothpaste, roll-ons, sanitary towels, and all of that. And we had that for about 6 months, and it stopped. And when it stopped, I was lost. I tried the toilet paper, it didn't work. I cut my washing rack and used it, it didn't work. It was worse when one day when I was in class, and then it showed on my pants. And I said to myself, I've got to find ways to deal with this challenge. And she handed over her life in the hands of blessers. Because we gave false hope. Because handouts are good, but handouts are dangerous. When you give a handout, you must have plan B. And the witness of the church, man, is that whatever we do, our witness is that everything we do, I have a sustainability plan. But we depend on fundraising. Now, fundraising is not sustainable, man. Because it's money that's here, and you don't know whether you'll get it tomorrow as well. So I'm just calling on the church to begin just to look at how can we look at the health issue. And ma'am, if I'm now selling myself now and the unit, if this district can say to us as the mission unit, we want to see how we work on what do you call this? Health promoting churches. We would easily say to you, I don't know whether you work in regions or you have regions or not. You have regions. We can actually come as a mission unit and sit down with your regions and say, this is how we can do this thing. And start putting, because you see, your basic tools, the basic, you give them and you'll have them for a lifetime. You know, we have soft copies of guidelines of how to do this. We can make those available. And this is not just a Methodist mission unit thing. This is a global thing. The World Health Organization is saying to churches, let's start the drive and the struggle for good health. You know, we are told that just after COVID, I'm told it's more than 86 million people across the world, they died because of mental health diseases or being affected by issues. You know how many people die because of diabetes? A lot of people die of diabetes. And it's not because diabetes is killing them. It is because they don't have the tools to manage it. Because it's manageable. Eh? Yes. You can live with it. Eh? Here am I, I'm very confident that I'll manage it. Yes, now again, but I'm fine. You know, I'm fine, you know. And he says, and you benefits na payendli. You know, benefits na payendli. The university I'm sorry, you say I mustn't tell. The university hey, na le uniform. They gqibela kudala ukuyinxiba iyangena ngoku. Labe ndithi ngaphakathi uphila ngokugula kwami. But what I'm trying to say to you, good lifestyle affects the whole family. And man, the other way of starting it, I'm finishing off now. The other way of starting it, the best way of starting it, is just starting by starting a small garden in your backyard. Yes. And plant all the greens that you can plant. And that doesn't just give you good health, it saves you money as well. Niyandiva kodwa? Bosisi niyandiva kodwa? And I'm simply saying we can do it. And if each society apho nikhoyo nifuna uqala igadi, we will support you. We will connect you to people who will give you seeds. People who give you. Unansika kubando tatalo, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Land Affairs. Ewe utatu Scotcha has made a commitment. Amadoda nanikiwe ijojo zi2. You know, the garden implements and all. And he said to me, Mfundisi, I'm available. Listen to me. What Mfundisi, I'm available. If you say one society, one garden, I will make it a possibility for the church. So all you need to do is just to knock at the door. So, and you must remember, healthy living, it's not just about, the environment must be healthy as well for you to be healthy. La nkunkumo ikupele strateni, ibuya ngawe. And that's why I can't do uthi uyikhupha xa isihleli intsukwana iyabuya. Niyandiva kodwa? La manzi ogqiba uvasa ngawo uyazibona wachitha kusasa phaphandle ayabuya angena endlini. So when you talk healthy lifestyle, you ujonga ne-environment uzibhaqa ukuyo. And ndiyanicela ke mantombazane athandekayo ndingaboqala connectionini for me to speak to you about this. And I want to beg you, if you believe in this, ma'am, you know, I don't like saying this, but I want to say it because we push the agenda. If you believe in this, this will be the legacy program that you will have in this district and say, to health issues through the Cape of Good Hope. And not just the Cape of Good Hope, but Amantombazane as a Cape of Good Hope. And all we need, my man, are the resources that we need. It's you, your talent, your time. That's all. It's you, your talent, and your time. And you can start small by once a month. Just once a month. Uthi kumongameli sicela promote healthy living lifestyles. And I'm sure Mama Balapha, abahleli apha can support that fully. Mangijonge apha muzinjonga kuhle musi. Khayisha is here. Am I right in saying Bongani is here? Worcester is here. Ebungiphethe kakuhle Worcester. Mama Elderberg. Oh, Elderberg. Has it been a neighbor who loved the Sukatine? Oh, lovely. And the sister you up when Cape West Coast. Sure, you are in the holiday space, eh? Oh, Mama? Come here? Belleville. Okay. So you're in the city center. And you've got very resourceful people in the church, I know. Yes. I know. Mama? Fish Circuit. Or the land of the rich and famous. Yeah. They're in the suburbs. But you see that already we've got circuits that you can start saying, and all we can do is to start from there and then move forward. Mama, I think for me, that's how I see the vision. I've got slides here, so that each circuit can have them. And then you can begin. Up until the next slides, as Choy, how can you do this? In the health education, how do you do health education? How do you do practical actions within the church setting? Advocacy, you know, about how do you promote this and all of that. And also empowerment for public witness. So that's it. So empowerisha umanyano, ukuzumanyano lukwazi ukuphumela ngaphandle liyothetha nge-healthy lifestyle. You know, we can do this. It's easy to do. We can do this. And then lastly, Mama, what I want to say to you then, I'm going back to the bus. If we are to make an impact as a church, we can never work in silos. Yes. The Young Women's Manyano must be the initiator, but there are other structures and mission groups within the church that we need to work with. 2, we cannot work inside only. We need to seek partners outside as well. You know, mandinike nje another practical way. At Clarkbar, I don't know whether you know that the Methodist Church in Alente Sibiza Ngoguchi, it pick up points. What we have done, Doc, is this beautiful. I call it beautiful there. I'm very proud about it. I walk about very proud about it. We've established 10 pickup points. These pickup points, what they simply means is that we've got 3 volunteers in a circuit. They've got a laptop. They've got data that they receive on a monthly basis. All they have done is to go into the villages in Clarkbar and identify HIV positive people, people with chronics, and all of that. See, a flex staff, we've got a number of 125 people who are on chronic medication, who come to the Methodist Church every month to collect their medication. They don't need to walk kilometers to go to clinics. Medication is just there for them. We have empowered them for the medication to come to them, not them going for medication. 2, what we have done in those centers, those pickup points, we have actually started gardens. Now, when they come, there is lunch for them without us having to pay for it. They get it from the garden. And they don't just even get from the garden, some they take home with them. So you see, we can do it. And you know what happens? Those who are administering, for every patient that comes, there is a 30 rand that the Department of Health gives to the church. And that money goes to their stipends and administration work that they do there. It sustains the work. Because you need to have that work going on for years. And people who work there, who get the stipend, some are Methodist, some are non-Methodist. So I'm calling on you to work together with other people. And the bus is a hamba ngevile elilodwa elinomoya, amanye flat izawuwa. Enkosi man.